Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CARTERMATT.com.
This video is our reaction to God, Friend, and Me, Season 2, Episode 12, entitled BFF. We'll talk a little bit about where the show could be going moving into Episode 13, because it feels like we got a lot of reveals in this episode, but we also kind of have sort of some things that are left over. It's kind of like a combo cliffhanger / New Horizons situation.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stories that were revealed tonight.
Yeah, so we're going to point out what we know, what we don't know, share some theories and go through it, and hopefully we'll try to get some pieces put together. It's a pretty complicated puzzle though, but before we do anything, if you like this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. So, here's some news. Big surprise, everyone. Alphonse, the newest character introduced as a possible God account suspect. No good. Alphonse is not behind the God account.
Yeah, and I didn't think he was going to be. I don't think anybody out there thought he was going to be. He's just another stepping stone into getting to that next step where we either find out who's behind it, or these are the friends we made along the way to the journey of never finding out, as Matt likes to say.
It's true. That could still happen. I'm still not ruling that out, that this is all going to be about the journey, and then someone's going to throw a tomato at their TV after they find out that that's the ending. And I'm going to jump in front of the TV to save it from the tomato you throw.
You can do that, but eventually I'm going to get that TV and I'm going to be pissed.
Well, they probably will reveal who it is or what it is, but it will be the series finale. It is certainly not going to be a January episode in Season 2.
No.
I am kind of surprised, though, that we had Arthur and Trish get married this early. I mean, I'm not surprised it was this episode because it was just set up, but...
Well, yeah, this was a pretty big episode for January because we had the Allie reveal, which we will go over. We had a wedding in it, which was, a big moment for Arthur.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is probably because, for those of you who don't know, God, Friend, and Me is going to be on a pretty long hiatus after this episode. I mean, more than likely, I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but February 16th is probably when it's going to be back because of football, Oscars, Grammys, Name Your Cup, all this sort of stuff. So this is kind of like a mid-season finale in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we haven't had it back for very long, and now...
Poof. Gone in a puff of smoke.
Gone in a puff of smoke, and we're going to have to wait around to find out what happens. And they did a good job of giving us a lot to talk about between now and then.
Just like the hacker, the God account has left the building for a little while, and we have to wait to what's coming up next. But, so we know that Alphonse isn't behind it, though apparently Alphonse must be, like, the biggest fan of the Millennial Prophet podcast. I mean, if Miles has, like, a Patreon, do you think that Alphonse is on, like, the highest tier?
Absolutely. I would think it was something like that. I mean, his dad saved his life. This is someone who he feels indebted to, and I'm sure he feels indebted to the whole family in that way, that it's like, oh, well, I love Arthur, and Arthur's done this for me. This is Arthur's son. It all feels like a part of his life now. And
I love that actor. I mean, Carl, he's like he's one of those guys. And by that I mean you see him and you're like, oh, it's that guy. I really love that guy.
Yeah, no, he's great.
Yeah, he was in Supergirl not that long ago, and he's always good, like, no matter what he's in, and he's always good at, like, playing, like, this sort of wise sage character.
Yeah.
Which is why he was, like, perfect. The moment I saw him, I was like, oh, Carl's in this show. He may actually be the God account now. It's because it's him, but no.
Well, in that case, I kind of wish that he was, because then he'd be around longer.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if we're going to get to see him again. Probably not.
I don't know.
Maybe down the road once or twice, but yeah, it would have been great to have him around a lot longer.
So, the question now that we've sort of learned here is they get redirected back to the hacker, who seemingly knows more than he let on, obviously, than they let on, and ultimately we see a card that is the Queen of Hearts. The hacker has already left the building.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we've seen them feel like they're getting close to having some sort of answers before, but this is kind of one of the few times it feels like they've actually met somebody who has information. I don't think he's behind the God account, but he clearly knows something is going on.
Yeah, that's my feeling. I mean, the episode left it kind of ambiguous, so maybe the hacker was the God account person all along, but I don't think so. I don't think we've met them yet.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, there's also the part of me that thinks that maybe he doesn't have anything to do with the God account at all. And maybe he was just a hacker.
Yeah.
That's also a gambler that was having a really fun time breaking into here and doing this and getting one over on these guys. And then poof, he was gone once they figured it out, because why would he stick around? And he's left the card. Yeah, it's the Queen of Hearts. It's a card that's pretty familiar with a lot of shows in general. He's a gambler. He's left the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
He could not have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like this is sort of his calling card, but no,
it could be as simple as that. We are only in season 2, so I don't know if they're gonna get to a point that even if they spent the rest of this season looking for this guy and they found him at the end of the season, or even at the beginning of next season if there is another season, which I feel like there
probably,
hopefully. This feels a little bit early to be meeting up with somebody.
Yeah, the question that I'm sort of left to wonder about is the Queen of Hearts meant to be sort of symbolic towards Miles, or is it just meant to be a card that the hacker just sort of likes to leave behind at various places?
Yeah, and that's why I was saying with the Queen of Hearts, which is clearly a very popular card. We've got the song "The Queen of Hearts" by Juice Newton. This is a gambling kind of card. So I was wondering that. Obviously, Miles is reading a lot more into this card than could be there, could not be there. He's brought it home. He's put it in this picture frame. So he's attaching something to this idea that the God account is going to help him bring answers about his sister. And now we do have to talk about the hardest part of this episode, which is that we have learned that Allie has cancer.
Yeah, and that's not an easy thing. And Godfriend of Me, I think for the most part, it tends to be more of an upbeat show. It tends to be more of a hopeful show. And this is one of the most devastating things I can think of for someone to have to go through. I don't believe that Allie is going to die. I want to have hope that she won't. But I think it's going to be a test.
Yeah, I don't believe that she's going to die. This is a hopeful show. I mean, even with just the friend suggestion that happened tonight, with that ending, it felt like that is a very positive, kind of unbelievable way to end things. If this was real life, that was not going to be
that was thing. A Julia situation. That was a miracle to end all miracles
absolutely.
Yeah.
So then are they going to give Allie cancer and kill her off? I just don't think that we're in for that ride.
No.
I do think if that miracle can happen with Julia, then this miracle can happen over here as well. It's just... It's still a devastating thing to happen. It obviously is going to bring this family together even more than they were before.
Yeah.
She's just such a young person, and it's always difficult to see these types of things happening, whether they're real or on TV.
Yeah, and I feel like the way in which this happened, I think it's almost as though, and it's difficult to sort of say that it's a product of a certain part of the story, but I think the writers of Godfriend and Me, they were probably thinking like a number of different levels here. I think they were thinking, we want to give Allie as a character some really compelling material because she hasn't had that many huge arcs as of late.
Yep.
And I think you add to that, we need a reason for Miles to still want to pursue the God account and want to still do its bidding.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. They needed something because his love for Cara was enough to give up this account. But this is his sister.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's more important or less important than Cara, but we're talking about a family member whose life is on the line at this point. There's nothing that Miles is not going to do for Allie, and that includes being a prophet for the God account for the rest of eternity if that's what they want. Yeah,
as much as the friend suggestion story of the week made almost no sense by the end of it, this made total sense. Like, I buy into why Miles would want to do this, even in the weird
Absolutely.
world of where there is such a thing as a God account and people doing its bidding all the time. I get where he's coming from.
Yes, and it makes sense that he was going to do whatever he could to find a way. And when you hear something like that a family member has cancer, someone you love has cancer, you are willing to do just about anything you can to help that person. And it felt like, as much as he does believe in what's going on with the God account and the work that they're doing with the God account, it felt like he was in that bit of a desperate state where he is willing to grasp at straws. He's willing to grasp at an account made on Facebook to help him maybe send someone his way that can help his sister. It feels like he's really grabbing at anything he can to be a rock, to find an answer, to do what he can.
Yeah, and I think it totally works for the character in the position that he's in to feel that way. And plus, you never know what's going to happen with Cara even still, because I think what she may be reminded of further here, I mean, I think she already was well aware how good of a person Miles is, but I think it's further reinforcement that he would be willing to sacrifice something that means so much to him in order to help someone.
Yeah, and it was really great to hear her say that him continuing on with this doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of their friendship.
No, and I think
and I know they're not back together at this point, but this is a hopeful show. I don't feel like they're just gonna introduce this really nice romance between them and then take it away and then that's the end of it. Sorry for your luck. Move on if you whatever. I'm not moving on.
No.
I want to see these two back together again.
No, these crazy kids can find a way to make this work in this crazy world. I believe in them. I feel like it's all, the God account likes to test people. Maybe the God account will come to its senses and realize they're better together. Everything can sort of change, but the good news is we have a lot of story left this season.
Well, before we leave this, we get to talk about Rakesh's suit.
Oh, yes, Rakesh's suit.
Oh,
Rakesh.
That suit was smoking. He looked great. He is one of my absolute favorite characters on this show besides Arthur. I love him. I do want to see a little more Rakesh story, even just away from this. I know that Jaya's not there right now. It's possible that they'll get back together in the future. I'm hopeful that he'll be able to make his app work and that she'll be in a different place and they'll be able to figure it out. But it was cool to kind of just see him away from that, all decked out. Yeah,
this is what we like to call. Rakesh was clearly looking for the best dress list at the wedding, and he delivered. But what you said there, it was the perfect segue into what I was even going to talk about, because we don't actually know a lot about episode 13 yet because it's still so long away, more than a month. So with that, there's no synopsis, there's no real teases, but I think at the top of the wish list has to be, give us a good Rakesh storyline that is separate from the God account, that sort of just gives him a chance to sort of flesh himself out a little bit more. Because I like Rakesh a lot too.
Yeah, I just want to learn more about him. I don't want him to only be the hacker guy that keeps bringing information. Like that storyline is great. But I did really enjoy his relationship with Jaya and what was going on. I got to know more about him. I got to know more about sort of like, while he's very confident with what's going on with his hacker stuff and computer stuff, that he is still a very kind of insecure guy, still trying to figure himself out of who he is and what he's about when it comes to personal stuff. And that makes me want to learn more about that.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those sort of things where we could sit here and say, okay, well, we want to know, what the hacker's about, who's behind the queen, like all that sort of stuff. But that's kind of obvious. Eventually, we're going to get more clues out of the God account. We're going to get more friend suggestions. But I want more Rakesh. It would actually be nice to see a little bit more of Cara's job again, because it feels like it's been a while since we've really been over there.
Yeah, it's kind of disappeared.
Yeah, so, I mean, bring us back into some of the professional environments of these people. Let's see where Cara's at. even put Miles back into the podcast studio a little bit more.
Yeah, it feels like that's been missing just a little bit more than I'd like.
Yeah, and there's parts of podcasting that we haven't seen on the show all that much. Like, can Miles go to like a podcasting convention or something like that? Can he do some collabs with some other podcasts?
Or even some personal time at home, like, maybe the God account will come in and do whatever.
Yeah.
But have him editing, doing some of the other stuff that goes along with that, some of the promotional stuff. We'd seen that in the first season when he got his new posters together and was kind of working on stuff like that. But now it just feels like his podcast is perfect, everything is great, moving along, there's no other parts to it. But as people who are on YouTube, who've done some podcasting, it's kind of like an ever-going thing unless you're the biggest podcast on the planet.
Yeah, there's a lot of hustling that goes on, and we don't really see a lot of that. But because episode 13 isn't airing for a while, and I would presume that there's probably going to be a lot of continuous episodes, maybe a small hiatus here or there between then and the finale.
Yeah.
There won't be any more huge ones like what we're dealing with right now. Maybe they'll sort of use that first episode back as kind of a chance to start from scratch a little bit, kind of update us on where these characters are, and then build back up into the big mysteries before the finale makes us absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and I'm still very curious now that they have had this reveal that all of the friend suggestions are all part of the same insurance company. I'm still curious how that is really going to tie in. And at the very least, I feel like we should get answers on that this season.
Yeah, I think we'll get that. I don't think we'll get the account, but I think we can get that, and I think we can find out more about the hacker. But we will be back to discuss God Friended Me.
If anybody can find him, it's Rakesh. It's true.
It's true. It's true.
Rakesh found everybody last season. He found like 3 of the biggest computer hackers out there. That's why I still have a little piece of me that thinks that maybe Rakesh has something to do with the God account, because he's so smart. He's such a great hacker. He's been able to find the biggest hackers out there, and he doesn't know how to break into a Facebook account. He's got to have something to do with it, and that he's put this whole thing together to really help his friend Miles out. If anybody's still watching, let me know what you think.
Is Rakesh the mole? Let us know. Also, share your other theories in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us more by checking that link in the description to the CARTERMATT store. And we'll see you here next time.